There is certainly ongoing uncertainty in Syria after his opposition coalition chief said that he was quitting, only for members not to accept his resignation. Now, this is new rebel claims emerge of government forces using chemical weapons against them. Let's cross live now to our Middle East correspondent, Paula Slee, who joins us here on the programme. We can take this story just a bit further. Paula, good to see you, though not the first time that such similar accusations have been thrown about.
No, it certainly is not the first time. The Syrian opposition is saying today that al-Assad's forces fired what they are claiming are chemical weapons at surrounding an army base in the town of Adra on the outskirts of the Syrian capital of Damascus. Now, the latest reports suggest that 2 rebel fighters have been killed and some 23 people wounded. It does follow last week in which we saw accusations from both sides accusing the others of using chemical weaponry when there was a mysterious explosion near the city of Aleppo. Now, you remember that in that explosion, 26 people were killed and dozens more were wounded. That explosion was quickly and swiftly labeled by Western intelligence agencies as a chemical incident perpetrated by forces loyal to the Syrian President Bashar Assad. The Syrian regime has since asked the United Nations to launch an investigation, and the Russian ministry has said that if there are reasons to believe that chemical weapons were used, an international group comprising of permanent United Nations Security Council members has to be sent to Syria. What we're hearing now, though, regarding that incident is information to the contrary. In fact, here in Israel, the leading daily newspaper Haaretz has written that it was definitely not an incident that was carried out by Assad. We also saw in the last few days when the American President Barack Obama was here in the region, he was quick to make harsh statements towards Assad and the use of chemical weapons.
Once we establish the facts, I have made clear that the use of chemical weapons is a game changer. I am deeply skeptical of any claim that, in fact, it was the opposition that used chemical weapons.
This is not the first time that chemical weapons have been in the headline. What we've heard from Obama and the Washington administration in the past is that they would employ a red line when it came to the use of chemical weaponry. There's always so much reaction from the West when reports start filtering through, particularly over Assad potentially using chemical weapons. But what is interesting to note is that when there's information to the contrary, as we're hearing now regarding the incident last week, and there are more and more independent journalists and witnesses saying that attacks with chemical weapons were actually perpetrated by rebel fighters and by Islamists, then nobody says anything. There are no loud shouts to start an investigation. So the question being asked is, what happens to all these truth seekers?
Yeah, certainly, Paula. A lot of the leaders of Western powers are very quick to come down hard on the Assad regime, though when the rebels are making certainly alleged use of chemical weapons, well, the international community goes suspiciously quiet. Let's go to one other possible surprise, that of an attempted resignation. The Syrian National Coalition leader's resignation certainly looks to have caught its members and others by surprise.
It certainly has caught many by surprise, but it really is just the tip of the iceberg. What we're seeing more is that the Syrian opposition is deeply divided. As you say, the leader of the opposition, Muaz Khatib's resignation comes just months after his election. Now, his decision to leave is being seen as a blow to the diminishing moderate wing of the uprising against the Syrian President Bashar Assad. There have in the past been an alarming number of resignations within the coalition itself by top opposition figures. What we see more and more is that the rebels are unable to organize themselves. They're unable to consolidate the military and political bodies. And increasingly, it's clear that there's no direct link between the fighters on the ground and the coalition that is being built abroad. The concern now is that more radical Islamist groups might fill this void that is being left by the resignations of the leadership. And at the same time, it looks increasingly like no one's particularly interested in sitting down and having dialogue with the Syrian President Bashar Assad. Also, the UK and France recently suggested that a weapons embargo on Syria has to be lifted to arm the rebels. As we see now, the initiative hasn't been given any kind of green light. So growing concern what is happening inside Syria.
All right, the latest on Syria indeed from our RT's Middle East correspondent Paula Slee. Thank you.